Well, so I think the gentlemen over here don't really need any introduction. I think we all know them. We've got some big manufacturers over here. We've got, of course, Jato Dynamics, one of the biggest leaders and one of the biggest names. So I don't think we need any introductions. First of all, I'll straight dive into it. Puneet, so we'll start with you. And the question that I have for you is, what are the big new features and what are the big new innovations that you're likely to see in the next 5 or 6 years? Because you're one of the biggest leaders when it comes to features, when it comes to technology. So what are the big, road ahead you see in the next 5 years?
So first of all, good evening everyone, and thank you Ashish. I think that's a question which probably in the beginning of the session was also being asked from the audience. When we look at the development of the Indian automotive industry, I think a lot has flown already in the last 5 years, and we've seen the advent of some futuristic models, features. But what do I see going forward in an automobile car going forward in the next couple of years is the emergence of software-defined vehicle, or SDV as we call them. And large of these software-defined vehicles would actually be based on the connected car technology. And in fact, when we talk of the powertrain, we are also talking about these vehicles being powered by electrification and in future, the hydrogen powertrain also. Now, having said that, when we look at Hyundai, who has already pioneered this connected car technology way back in 2019, when we launched the first of its class, the Blue Link technology in India. Now, for the benefit of the audience, I just wanted to share that this connected car technology basically is an AI-based tool which is given in your car through a SIM, which is inserted in the car system itself, so that your car can communicate either vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to infrastructure, so that any action done by the driver can be real-time monitored through the connected car technology. I remember way back in 2019 when we first introduced the Blue Link, our penetration was hardly close to around 5% of the total cars which you sell. But now, as we go forward 5 years and in 2024 calendar year, the penetration of our Blue Link technology is already at 26%. And this is growing as I speak. In fact, I remember now, cumulatively, we would have sold more than 700,000 connected cars on road. And this connected technology not only helps us to understand the driver behavior, but also helps us to ensure that the road safety, because that's one of the prime importance as far as any automobile OEM is concerned. Because we want that our cars should have the 3 S. S means smart, S means sustainable, and S also means safer cars. So in future, we would be seeing lot of these software-defined vehicles with connected car technologies, and the powertrain, which I think Mr. Banerjee in the beginning of the session and Honorable Minister Mr. Gadkari also talked about, will be the emergence of new powertrains which would be in electric cars, which would be in hydrogen cars, CNG, and the flex fuel vehicle. So I think it's a very exciting time at India. We are looking for the advent of all these technologies, and everybody sitting in this room, including the OEMs and our vendor partners, are working tirelessly to ensure that these future-ready technologies come in our cars as soon as possible.
And from a tire perspective, sir, if you could give us some guidance of what you expect in the next few years.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. First of all, thanks to Times Drive for actually a great session and a very informative. Since morning, since beginning, we are hearing so many things. I'm representing Tires, which is actually responsible for mobility, if you ask me. So fundamentally, what my colleague just now stated, I think the way we look at the future is going to be primarily driven by a few factors. First of all, it is safety, which I think we've been talking a lot. A lot of innovations are happening towards smart mobility, and which I think he touched very well. And I think third would be sustainability, which is a very, very critical aspect. I'm not getting into more into vehicle because a huge amount of technology development is happening on the vehicle front. But coming back to sustainable and fuel efficient, I would consider as important aspect. So from a tire perspective, I think a lot of work is happening towards this direction. Fundamentally, smart or connectivity, as he touched, connected mobility. In fact, tires talking to the vehicle, that is already there. We are looking at self-healing tires. We are looking at puncture guard tires. We are looking at so many things which are already available in terms of technology. But the focus, because automation, or I would say the connectivity or the capability of the vehicle are continuously enhancing, and therefore it is also necessary that the component industry, particularly like tire for that matter, has to not only meet those challenges but meet the environmental, meet the sustainable, meet the safe challenges, which is what we are looking at and we are working.
Jyoti, if you could also take that question, because you're at the top end of the market in terms of pricing. So what do you see in terms of the features, the new tech that's coming up in the next 5 years or so?
Yeah, so first of all, once again, thank you so much for having us here and having this conversation. And I think I agree with Puneet. One of the key things you will see, obviously, is the software design vehicles, SDVs as we call them. They are around the corner. At Volvo, we've already launched EX90, which is our first SDV. And I'm sure you will see this coming in all the cars over the period of time. So what does that really mean is that today the whole system is developed of different ECUs. And this will have a core computing. So there is one single ECU which controls the whole car. So it is going to become much more faster. And obviously, this is the base is on EVs. And beyond that, I think what I see coming up is also regarding AI. AI will play a very important role when it comes to providing safety to the whole system. It's not about providing safety only to people who are inside the car, but it is also takes care of, let's say, through recognition, animal recognition, pedestrian recognition systems will have ability to recognize. And through AI power, you can actually diagnose what is likely to happen and take whether it is emergency braking. So you will see a next generation of AI. And what will support that is LiDAR. So today, most of the cars we use radars. Now the next generation car will have LiDARs, which can actually see through even in the night. So and supported with AI, they will ensure that we are able to offer the best and safest cars in the country. And I think beyond that, I think already the next generation of ADAS, driver assistance, will come through. I think during the conversation there was a discussion about self-driving cars. Self-driving car may still be a little far off, but ADAS going to next level and providing the next level of autonomous driving or driver assistance will come into play. That's what I see coming about. Obviously, sustainability is important. The way cars are manufactured will change. The way I think what sort of materials are used in the car, everything will change. So those are the things what I would like to highlight.
And I'd like to ask you, sir, is the buyer ready for all this? Because all this also comes at a cost. So is the buyer ultimately ready to take all these features? Because all these features, especially with a mass market player like Hyundai, comes on the top end cars. So because you are at the end of the market.
Yeah, see, cars have become very expensive. So mobility has become, in a way, discriminating. Mobility is not accessible to everybody. That is the sad part of technology creeping up the car prices. So one of the things which is to be done is that you have to balance between what the public wants and what the technology is offering. Technology is offering really all, you remember Star Trek. Star Trek said, "Beam me Scotty," right? That's the ideal mobility which I'm looking for. Someday I'll be sitting on this chair and tomorrow I'll be in Bombay in my home, right? So that's not happening. The technology promises a lot. It is still experimental. So whether it is the energy density of a battery, which is growing but not there. There is the convenience of charging, which is there but not there. So autonomous driving, even in US, Waymo is the biggest company. So they also had a car chasing a truck which had a buffalo, because it did not recognize the truck but recognized the buffalo. Or a truck which was transporting trees was chased by a car thinking it's just a tree, not a truck. So technology is evolving rapidly, and we have come to rely on technology as a matter of fact, whereas it is an evolving science. So we will have experimentation, we will have failures in experimentation, there will be frustrations in experimentation. But yes, it is driving, mobility is becoming exclusive and not for masses.
And what are the other big challenges you face? I mean, what are the challenges you face in adoption of all these technologies that they spoke about?
Okay, so, yet the features are, many of the things that automotive industry talks about or people like us talk about are still covering the distance from a lab to a mass production car. Not all has come to a mass production car. So this transition of features as they grow in adoption is one of the challenge. How to make them cheaper. So battery, for example, we are talking about 100 kilowatt. Yes, it will come below that. But today, electric car is 40% more expensive. And I think the minister made the statement also that within 6 months, it will be all right. So, yeah, mark the date.
Puneet sir, I'll have the same question to you.
So I think I'll also add to what Mr. Ravi also said. Definitely technology comes at a cost. But at the same time, when OEMs try to democratize technology, then the adoption rate of those technologies also start increasing. A case in example, India is a very warm country, very hot country. And, who would have thought that people in their car would love to have a panoramic sunroof? That was considered to be a luxury. Even though the customer may or may not use a sunroof, but I can tell you that in the last calendar year, out of 100 cars which we sold, 52 cars were sold with a panoramic sunroof. That means 1 out of every 2 cars sold of Hyundai had a sunroof on it. Now that is something which kept us thinking that why customers are preferring. Because today technology has also become ubiquitous, and at the same time the cost of adoption because of the multiple adoption by OEMs has also started coming down. The second case is automatic transmission, which always customers used to say, oh, automatic transmission is very expensive, fuel average, so on and so forth. But now, 1 out of every 4 cars sold by Hyundai is an automatic transmission. Similarly, connectivity, which I told you, 26% cars are already with connectivity. And also, the penetration of the high-end trims, especially for Hyundai, has already gone up to 18%. So yes, technology comes at a price, but I am very happy to share that the auto industry has become quite responsible, and that's where the cost of technology, when spread over a larger mass, and that's where we see the proliferation of 4.3 million cars, passenger vehicles, which we sold in India last year, has actually led to the democratization of these technologies. And the days will come when future technologies, which I think Mr. Jyoti also talked about, ADAS. Now, out of 14 models which we offer in India, 12 models are already with connected technology, and 9 models out of the 14 are already with ADAS. So ADAS as a technology itself is becoming very much penetratable in the Indian market, and I'm sure with the times to come, with the coming of these modern roads, which Mr. Gadkari talked about, the adoption of ADAS and these technologies will increase because safety is paramount importance. OEMs, customers, and the government will be working together to see that the adoption of these life-saving technologies become more affordable and also more meaningful for the people.
Mr. Misra, is that something you also face, the high cost? Because when you offer green tires, EV tires, costing is much higher. A lot of customers, when they change their tires, they actually don't want a green tire on their car. They say, normal wala tire laga do, meko nahi kharcha karna hai. Is that something, it's a big challenge? Do you see that?
You see, this is as I think somebody said, chicken and egg. So the point is that there is a need. I mean, on the one hand, we are talking about net zero. Government of India says net zero by 2070, and companies are announcing. So how do you achieve that? So therefore, the technology will drive it. And of course, even from task perspective, like he rightly said. But we believe that over a period of time, the value proposition or the customer's understanding or the person who's buying probably will go through a change. Today, of course, the technology is costing more. When we want to, anything you are developing new, it is at an added cost. But also, as he rightly, he said it, that over a period of time, as it grows or multiplies, probably the cost will also come down because also the material which you buy, because the future is also going to be lighter material. material which is going to offer better sustainability and better fuel efficiency, but it is today more expensive. But the way when we discuss with many of the manufacturers, I think gradually this will come down. But yes, this challenge is there, and some of the customers or some of the people who are interested in taking the technology forward are paying. But yes, there is a challenge as far as adopting new technology is concerned.
And Jyoti, I'll come to you. Do you see the same kind of challenge, because your cars are as it is expensive, of course being luxury, but in terms of when you sell an EV, is it easy to sell an EV or is it easy to sell an ICE car? How is the difference over there when it comes to at the top end of the market?
See, as a company, we are pushing towards electrification. I think already even India itself, we are selling almost 25% of our cars, we are selling electric cars. And I think going forward, the adoption of EVs is going to pick up. It's not that 100% will be EV, but I think today in the overall market, it's only 2%. For us, it is 25%, but I think in our industry, it is already 6-7%. This will continue to grow. But obviously, there are challenges. I think we heard from the minister and others also. Obviously, there are 3 C's. There are many, but I think on top of my mind, I would say one is the charging infrastructure. And we heard HPCL setting up chargers, and there are many others who are setting up chargers. So I think having the right sort of fast chargers available, which are compatible with all type of cars, and having it in the right places is first. Related to that also is making it easy for customers to put home chargers. Today, it's a bit of a challenge, especially in high-rise societies. It's not easy to install a home charger, because with the technology, the long-range cars will come, but still you will need a home charger. So I think charging infrastructure will remain a challenge. We need to address that very quickly. Second, obviously, is cost. We need to ensure that very quickly, how can this become more accessible? EV technology, overall cost of ownership is quite low, but initial cost of acquisition is still higher. How can we bring it down so that it becomes accessible to everyone? And third thing is also consumer mindset. From the perspective that, see, it's not about you have to pay more for something which is sustainable, but it's about EV or this new technology also crossing a line of fear of unknown in your mind. Customers need to travel that line and say, okay, I've been using IS, this is a human habit, how do I change that? And I think education will play an important role. And I think government incentives, policies are supporting that. We heard how it is important for our country that we should move in that direction. So I'm sure in our country, we will have EVs moving forward, and all these challenges can be overcome. And I think what we heard from the minister and from others beforehand, I'm very confident that these challenges will be overcome very fast.
And Ravi sir, I'll ask you, basically, this big challenge, as you said, EV penetration is a big challenge. There are lots of hurdles. What do you think can be done, to ease the pressure on the mind of the fence sitter? A lot of people are sitting on the fence. Should I buy an EV? Should I not buy an EV? EV sales have slowed down this year.
So there are 2-3 things have to come because human beings mimic other human beings. So first of all, if I see my neighbor buying an electric car, and I walk into my society parking, and I see green lighting chargers coming up, my behavior will probably change. One thing to encourage that mimicking approach is to do what China did. They selected some cities and went whole hog into converting everything into electric. So whether it is the charging infrastructure, whether it is buses, whether it is cars, so just take one city and make an example out of that. So Delhi is a perfect case study for that, right? Imagine if Delhi was to say tomorrow, 100% taxis will be electric. Now taxis on a day will do at least 10 trips. So you have electrified 10 trips for a taxi. For the personal mobility, as Gadkari ji was saying, 50 kilometers is the maximum, right? So why not do plug-in hybrid incentivization? So you have to pick a city and make it a role model for other states to look at that. If that is not done, we are spreading few resources very, very thin.
Also, do you think that, when a buyer is buying a car, he has that green conscience behind, or do you think he's just buying it because paise bach jayenge? He does all that calculations? Because as he said, people are buying a sunroof. They prefer a sunroof over some other features in the car which might actually be beneficial. So do you think that is also missing, that education is missing
Yeah, education is definitely missing. But more than education, I think the TCO is still not favorable. You know, somebody said scooters, three-wheelers, it started happening. Why? No education happened in three-wheelers, but TCO shifted. So whenever the TCO will shift, you don't need to train people. Money will teach them.
Puneet, I'm coming back to you. Lots of benefits you told us about ADAS and the other features which you think are going to become very commonplace in the next few years. But do you think that ADAS is a very relevant feature for India because our roads are very populated, over-dense, heavy density? A lot of people don't buy a top-end version because they say, "Mujhe ADAS nahi chahiye, mujhe sunroof chahiye." So again, about customer education, how do you think that can be?
So, as I mentioned, that always technology will always be initially very challenging for the people to adopt. And I think rightly mentioned, education is something which is very important. But at the same time, now the customers also realize that for them, safety is also of paramount importance. We have seen a couple of years back what happened in the country and the world in terms of COVID, spread, and how people adopted personal transport over shared transport, and how the family values have started coming in. Now we have also seen people traveling long distance with their families, 6 and 7 people put together. So that's why the advent of bigger cars and the SUVs also we are seeing. So ADAS is a technology which will encourage the people to adopt safety. And that's where, as I said, that 14% of our cars, almost 9 cars out of 14 cars are with ADAS. And I'm seeing that these adoptions will further continue to increase because the cost of technology itself is also coming down. Jyoti mentioned about the radars and the lidars which are coming, and with the coming up of these volume players, all these technologies are actually coming at a very good price, and the OEMs are passing on these costs as the benefits to the customer so that they can adopt more and more. But whenever there will be a new technology, there will be challenges. Like, for example, EV penetration itself today we are talking is a big challenge in this country. One of the statistics which I wanted to share with everyone over here is that currently in India, in terms of our installed capacity, we have close to around 25,000 chargers. But a recent study said that unless and until we reach to a mass of around 1.6 lakh chargers, we really cannot be talking about a serious electrification. Now that difference from 25,000 to 1.6 lakh chargers is a humongous task. So everyone put together, OEMs, we have taken an initiative therein. We are going to install 600 only fast chargers, ultra fast chargers across the highways of the country, which includes 100 chargers, especially in the state of Tamil Nadu. Now, why we are doing this is because if you are setting up a fast charging station with a capacity of 60 kilowatt or 150 kilowatt, one station can actually give you 3 guns and 3 cars can simultaneously charge over there. So even if you have more and more chargers, but if these are not fast chargers or ultra fast chargers, then also the customer psychology of fast charging will also be defeated. Therefore, it is now a matter of time, and I think the PM e-drive scheme, which was recently announced, also allocates 2,000 crores towards the setting up this charger infrastructure. So I'm very confident that with the collaboration between the OEMs, the government, and also the various CPOs or the charge point operators we call them, we will be able to democratize the adoption of these EVs also. And similarly, we have seen the growth. Mr. Gadkari talked about 14% in the cars as far as last year was concerned. It's a very promising figure. Yes, India is a big country and all these things will definitely take some time. But we are very positive that with the times to come in 2030, we should be looking at a double-digit penetration as far as EVs are concerned. And I think all of us are committed to ensure that EV becomes a reality so that we can become a nation which is sustainable, which is safe, and which is smart.
Mr. Misra, same question to you. A lot of people are not aware of the benefits, as we said. Customer education, is that something that you're looking at?
I think this is very, very critical because I think awareness and I'm in total agreement. In fact, a lot of things customers are not aware of. Even a lot of technologies customers are not aware of. So that is something which is very important. In fact, Gadkariji's talked so much about safety and the first, in fact, many times he admits that this is one area I have not been able to succeed satisfactorily. So now that is because I would call it as a education or customer awareness. I think second is also regulation, the regulations and regulation compliances. Third, I would also consider some kind of a lack of infrastructure or those kind of things which are also leading to these kind of problem. But if efforts are made, and in fact many we as organization, and also we, one of the association which is Tyrre Association Atma, we are doing a lot of work on safety, on sustainability all over the country, on many expressways. And it is surprising to see the complete lack of awareness of people and safety aspects. From a tire standpoint, you will be surprised to see that almost 60 to 70% of the cars we find are underinflated. Now that is very unsafe. You go to expressways, you will see the tires which are completely worn. There is a regulation in the country that the tire must be replaced after certain, there is a indication, there are indicators on the tire, everything, but the education is missing. Information is, awareness is missing. So I would say that I think as each one, we need to work on this particular area, try our bit, I would say, to educate and make customers aware about all these aspects, certainly.
Jyoti, you mentioned a new technology that's coming up for ADAS. Can you just elaborate on that, because I wanted to...
So I think let's look at ADAS as something which can actually work to avoid collisions, right? Because end of the day, humans are driving the car today. I think we all agree that it's not going to change, so that suddenly there will be autonomous drive. Those cars will come later. So right now, let's assume humans are driving the car and technology can only help. So ADAS is a great technology which can help avoid collisions. So there are things like cross traffic alert. There are things like blind spot identification. So before a human can identify, technology can tell you that something is coming and actually push the lane so that you are avoiding the collision. It's already available in our cars, and I believe the next generation of ADAS will further work. I'm sure a lot of our dealer partners sitting here, they will not like it, but collision avoidance means lower revenue for the body and paint shop. But end of the day, as a country, as human race, I think what we need is reduction in the loss of life, fatalities. I think this avoidance can only help us get there. So ADAS is such an important thing, and what I agree with Puneet is, as more companies adopt this technology, the economy of scale will ensure with democratization, the cost will come down, the technology can be made available to everyone. So that is one aspect. Another thing I can talk about is something which we work on, because at Volvo we work a lot on safety. We have been working on doing a 3D mapping of all the collisions which have happened over the year. Now all that data is available, which has been now mapped into 3Ds, and together with AI. Earlier it was not possible to convert that data into some action. Now with the data that is available, the AI can really predict what is going to happen. And those algorithms can be built into the ADAS. That's where the next generation of technology will evolve. And end of the day, the whole idea is to ensure that the technology predicts the driver behavior and takes the right action at the right time so that we can avoid the collisions and obviously reduce the fatalities. India, I think we heard 180,000 lives are lost every year. This could be a great way by which we can avoid. Because end of the day, humans will make mistakes, and I think technology can help avoid those mistakes. Let's use the technology the best possible way.
And Ravi sir, we've spoken a lot about the challenges, but there are definitely a lot of opportunities as well. So can you just elaborate what big opportunities lay ahead for us, and then we'll get back.
Yeah, I think one of the opportunity of reducing the friction to electrification, we talked about that. One is the battery cost and battery energy density, but the other side is how convenient it is to charge. So not only the charging speed is becoming very important. So can I do in 5 minutes, like what BYD recently announced? The claim is yet to be validated. It's not a validated claim, but they said in 5 minutes you can do 400 kilometers worth of charging. So that's a convenience, right? Or I can have a battery swapping infrastructure. That is another area of convenience. The other thing is, the other opportunity in this is insurance cost reduction, which has not been touched in this discussion. if you take the data of these deaths that we talk about, how many were occupant deaths driving a car? This data is not very well known at all. How many people who were inside a car died, or how many people died because a car hit them? Because mostly when you hear safety, it is always in context of a rich man driving a car. But if you see, the car-related accidents are very far and few. Despite that, car has a huge burden of regulation. And despite me buying a more safer car, I still pay the same insurance that an unsafe car buyer also pays. So our insurance policy is an opportunity to incentivize people to first of all change their driving behavior and buy more safer cars. These are a few of the opportunities which come top of the mind.
It's the same question for you. What are the big opportunities?
So, so first of all, let us look at the recent, study which I wanted to share. Couple of years back, EV adoption was considerably very minuscule. Now, in a recent study, what has come across India and globally is that the intent of an Indian customer to buy the next car of his or her as an EV is 49% compared to 34% globally. Now, that means that yes, the people of the country are aware of the benefits of EV because of various things like the sustainability and also because of cost of ownership and also things related to environment. This is an opportunity which now is very important for the OEMs to cash upon and see that how that intent of 49% can be converted into a real purchase intention. And that's where I think education will play a very, very important role. The other day we were sitting with Dr. Harif Qureshi from Ministry of Heavy Industries and also in a FICCI discussion wherein it was decided that as an organization we will start a pan-India education drive which will help the customers to understand the importance of EV, sustainable driving and how over a period of time the cost can be amortized. Now, if such kind of educational material is shared with the customers through various government machineries, also with the corporates, also with the OEMs and with the vendor partners, I think that mindset of the customers will change. I do agree with what Mr. Ravi also mentioned, that as in two-wheeler, the TCO played a very important role. But somewhere in the car industry, I think still people feel that since they have a, ICE car available, the petrol and the diesel, okay, let's go for that also. But at the same time, if you are able to bring that hidden intent out in the public, I think that is one area which we can really improve upon the penetration of these future modes of transport. Another area, as we mentioned together, is ensuring that we are able to bring that range anxiety out of the consumer mind. And that can be done if we are, like what Mr. Gadkari mentioned about supercharged highways. Now the government is doing a lot of things, OEMs and everyone, if put together, if you are able to give an assurance to the customer that every 100 kilometers there will be a charger which will be available, I think that range anxiety also for the persons to drive an EV will definitely go from that mind. And the third thing, which is the democratization of these technologies, is basically adoption of these technologies through a central government body. So the government is working upon various policies. Cafe 3 is coming, we are looking at BS7 systems coming, we are looking at BNCAP which was launched 2 years back only, the seat belt rules which came into picture. I think all these are regulations which will be very important for us to define the next phase of automation for the Indian auto industry also, and that's where everyone will collaborate to ensure that this technology becomes affordable, meaningful, safe and sustainable.
And Mr. Misra, same question to you. What are the big opportunities that lay ahead?
So I was very intently listening to these gentlemen. I will have another view also, one more in addition to which we are internally looking at. But there are certain technologies which are unavoidable. In fact, looking at the future needs and, we just talked about. So we are also looking at, are there options available by which you can adopt technology? At the same time, the burden is minuscule on somebody to buy. So that means, how do you optimize? I cannot challenge the automobile industry, but I'm looking at from a purely different perspective. This is a fact that technology costs more, and many times people are not willing to pay. In fact, there is also another aspect which I read, essential versus luxury. there's also one of the things which came up somewhere. That means there are certain technology, like I fully agree, ADAS, and I think that's something which is absolutely revolutionary, because from a safety angle, from the kind of deaths we have in this country, this is a fantastic technology, but how to adopt it? So can we find some solutions? So I think opportunities are, I would call opportunities more as responsibilities. That there are certain technology we do want to deliver, and at the same time, how to make sure customers are made aware of, how to make sure we can pass on a minuscule portion of the added cost and find a solution. And one thing I just want to add, which Jyoti stated, I think it's a fantastic idea about generating one model. We call, in our manufacturing parlance, we call it as a model machine or a model room or a model. So why not create something like this? Fantastic suggestion. Why don't you give it to Mr. Gadkari?
Jyoti, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I think let's look at a wider picture here as a country, right? And I see automobile industry has a great opportunity here. Our country has a great opportunity here, and Mr. Gadkari sort of talked about it as well. I would like to sort of elaborate on that. So number one, we are already number 3 globally. But if you see, I think it has taken us a long time, and our aspiration is to become even bigger. And I believe the world is moving towards electrification. I think that is known. I think if you look at the stories about BYDs and others is coming because they are the pure EV players and they are gaining numbers and traction globally. So EV is here to come. I think when the cars were getting adopted in the country, I think we missed the bus at that time because we were not ready when it came to becoming a production house. Now is the time. We should become a production powerhouse for the globe. We should make cars and sort of sell from India. That's a great opportunity. And we have the right things set up. The government is very supportive. The policies are very supportive. I think we have this lithium ion find which Gadkari sir was talking about. So there is a lot happening for us. So as a country, it's a great opportunity that we make ourselves as an EV center for production. That is the starting point. Then you see as a country, why do we really need to do that? There are 2 more reasons beyond making in India and selling from India. We have the highest polluted countries. I think if you look at the chart globally, I think the highest polluting all states, cities are in India. And EVs can be a great solution to that. There is no second thought about it. Even if, let's say there is a debate whether the pollution shifts from cities to somewhere else, but we need to cut away pollution from the cities. And I think EVs can play a role there. So we need it because of that. And third, obviously oil imports. Ministers have talked about that. How do we cut down our oil imports and make it self-sufficient? So if you look at from all these perspectives, I believe that's a great opportunity, and I would like to use this forum to say, as an industry, we have to come out with one single voice and say EV sahi hai. Because we need to go out with one voice, otherwise we are only confusing the customers whether we should go this way or that way. I think if you look at government is very clear with their policy. They are saying, as a country, we need to move more toward electrification, and hence I would say EV sahi hai, and that's a great opportunity for the country.
Well, I don't think a lot of other manufacturers agree with you because some of them don't have any EVs. But anyways, I think thank you guys for your time. Very insightful discussion. I'm really sorry we've run out of time. So we'll end it here. Thanks once again for all coming over here. Thank you so much.
May I request all the panelists to kindly stay back on the stage. And I would now like to invite on stage Mr. Rohit Chadda to kindly felicitate all the esteemed panelists. Yeah, before that, can we just take a group photograph together? Thank you so much once again for sharing all your valuable insights with us. Very enriching discussion. Thank you once again for enlightening all of us with your wealth of knowledge, expertise and experience. Thank you so much, Mr. Chadda. May I now request you to kindly felicitate all the panelists. We have amongst us Mr. Puneet, Anand, ABB and Vertical Head, Corporate Communication and Social at Hyundai Motor India Limited. Vijay Kumar Misra, Technical Director, JK Tyrre and Industries. Jyoti Malhotra, Managing Director, Volvo Auto India Private Limited, and Ravi Bhatia, President, Jato Dynamics. Thank you all once again for sparing time and enlightening all of us with your thought-provoking insights. And thank you, Ashish, for the wonderful moderation. Can I now request all of you to please come together for a group photograph? Thank you. And can we hear a big round of applause one more time for all our panelists, ladies and gentlemen?